As humans, we have crafted the art of being our worst obstacles to success. Our instinct to overcomplicate stems from deep psychological, social, and cultural drivers. Understanding them and then learning to break free from them will allow for better decision-making. Chapter 2. The Greatest Barrier to Success: Ourselves. Humans have an extraordinary ability to create their own obstacles. We hesitate, overcomplicate, and let self-doubt dictate our decisions, often turning simple tasks into overwhelming challenges. Whether it's fear of failure, a desire for perfection, or the tendency to create perceptions, we weave unnecessary barriers into our paths. These roadblocks aren't always external. More often than not, they come from within. Recognizing this pattern is the first step to breaking free. By shifting from hesitation to action, we can dismantle the invisible walls we build and create a direct path to success. Another source of overcomplication comes from creating a gap between perception and reality. Perception is shaped by biases, emotions, and assumptions, often leading us to react to what we feel is true rather than what is. This disconnect creates confusion, poor decisions, and unnecessary obstacles. Bridging this gap requires pausing to challenge assumptions, gather facts, and focus on reality instead of letting emotions dictate actions. Moving from feel to know empowers leaders to make clearer decisions, solve problems efficiently, and align their actions with truth, ultimately simplifying complex challenges and driving meaningful results. A powerful leadership tool that has served me quite well in my career is the Process People Product model. It offers a remedy to overcomplication and clearing away perceptions that ultimately lead to better decisions. Clear processes provide a structured foundation that ensures consistency and accountability, while prioritizing people's growth and autonomy enables teams to thrive. Instead of relying solely on product expertise, leaders can focus on creating systems that adapt to change and foster innovation. When you focus on processes and people, the product naturally flows. Let's see how these decision-making concepts come together in a real work scenario. When departments collaborate, the intention is often to streamline efforts, but the reality can be far more complex. What begins as a straightforward task can become a maze of miscommunication and inefficiencies. Each team brings its own priorities, processes, and perceptions, which can clash or create misunderstandings. Without a clear framework for coordination, even simple projects can stall. They can be weighed down by unnecessary layers of approval, unclear responsibilities, or differing interpretations of urgency. Meet Maria. Maria, the employment engagement manager at an outdoor supply warehouse, was frustrated. She had envisioned a simple solution to improve employee access to resources. Setting up a computer in the front office where team members could review the employee handbook and complete a satisfactory survey. But weeks had passed and nothing had been done. Each time she thought about asking IT for help, doubts crept in. What if the IT department is too busy? What if they find my request annoying? They probably do not have any spare computers anyway. With every hesitation, the project stalled, and Maria's confidence waned. During a routine site visit, I noticed the incomplete project and asked why the computer was not set up yet. Maria shared her long list of assumptions and concerns. Once she was done venting, I said, "Go find out." She was a bit perplexed and possibly taken by surprise. After listening to her concerns, I explained that she had created a gap between her perception and the reality that might be. Together, we walked to the IT department. Maria explained what she needed, and the IT manager nodded thoughtfully. "We can set it up tomorrow," he said without hesitation. By the next day, the computer was installed, and Maria's project was finally complete. The gap between her perception and reality had been wide, but closing it took just one step: asking the question. Maria had broken through. Maria's delay in getting the computer set up highlights a critical gap, not in resources, but in process. Without a clear, established system for handling such requests, Maria was left to navigate the situation on her own. burdened by fears of judgment and assumptions about the IT department. Her hesitation was rooted in personal perceptions rather than practical steps. But what if a process had been in place? Imagine a simple, well-communicated process. Any employee needing IT support fills out a standardized request form, detailing the need and expected timeline. The form automatically routes to the IT department, where requests are queued and tracked. Maria would not need to rely on assumptions about whether IT was too busy or if they had spare computers. She would simply follow the process. The fear of judgment or perceived inconvenience would be irrelevant because the process would remove the personal barriers from the equation. In this case, the process people product model shines. With a clear process, Maria, the people element, would have a defined path to follow, and the desired outcome, a functional computer, the product, would be in place. Instead of relying on subjective decision-making, the process would ensure consistency and a smoother workflow. And the gap between perception and reality, well, much shorter. This story serves as a powerful reminder that the greatest obstacles to progress are often the ones we create ourselves. Overthinking, fear of imperfection, and the need to prove our worth can derail even the best intentions. By stepping back, refocusing on the core purpose, we not only streamline our efforts, but also open the door to greater collaboration. As we reflect on this lesson, the question becomes, how can we simplify our approach to challenges in our own work? By doing so, we create space for growth, efficiency, and meaningful progress. Sometimes the answer is not about doing more. It is about doing less, with greater intention and impact. Close the gap between the perceptions you create and the reality that is waiting for you. Life will be much simpler.